Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Terman Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew, and that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours. And good morning, everyone. This is yours truly, Dr. RG here. This is the Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks. Today is Wednesday, September 16th, 2020. This is our 77th episode. And boy, did I miss you guys. Oh my goodness, we just transitioned to once a week on Wednesday at 10 a.m. So please make sure that you tag a friend for sure and share this video and let other people know that you are on, that we are on Wednesdays. And we don't know where this is going to go. We just shifted a little bit just so that I could get some other things done because we're working on the second book. We're working on the podcast. We're working on the masterclass. We got a whole lot of stuff that we're working on. And yet, at the same time, I miss my crew. So good morning, Treasure. I see you. Crew, you know, if you're new to us, crew stands for Connecting Relationships for Epic Wins. Do not forget to share this video, tag a friend, go on over to our YouTube page and hit subscribe. It's Ask Dr. RG, AskDrArgie. Hit the subscribe to our page, but hit the notification button so that you'll get the notifications of all the things that we're doing. Smash that thumbs up and share as well. I see Deborah on. Good morning. I missed you. I saw Mama Stokes came on first thing in the morning. So thank you, Nicole, for signing on, and welcome to my IG family as well as Facebook and YouTube family. We've got a great show for you for sure. Today's topic is getting your head back in the game, right? Let's get our head back in the game. We know that the sports are happening, right? Football happened. That got kicked off this week. Basketball is still happening. All the various sports are happening. But we also, if we're not in the midst of any kind of game per se, like an athletic game, this is basically the game of life, right? We've got work, we've got school, we've got all kinds of challenges in the midst of the collision between the two pandemics, COVID-19, as well as systemic racism. And we got to kind of get our heads right, in order to win in this last quarter of the season. I always say, we're not canceling 2020. 2020 has too much to offer us to cancel it. We need to learn from it, think about all the things that the way in which we've grown through it, and then we need to level up so that we can win. So today's topic is about getting our head in the game. Listen, we're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. We're going to come right back. I want you all to think about who you're breathing for and with, because we're going to go into our breathing exercise, and then we'll get right into our conversation. So again, I miss you guys. Thank you for joining. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And welcome again. This is yours truly, Dr. RG here for the Courageous Conversations Connect Space Quarantine Talks. Again, this is September. Y'all believe it's mid-September? it's got a little chilly, it's a little chill in the air, which is my favorite time of year. I love fall because I'm a fall baby, right? I was born, for some of you who don't know, my birthday is September 23rd. So I should be celebrating this month with all of my Virgos out there. Shout out to my cousin Shelly, whose birthday is in this month. Shout out to my cousin Felicia, whose birthday is always also this month, as well as my cousin Ronnie. And my very dear friend, Candy's mom, Ann. We all celebrate our birthdays. We're like 1, 2, 3. So 21st, 22nd, 23rd, we just celebrate the whole month. And so this is going to be different this year, right? Actually, I'm working on my birthday, I think a little bit next week. I'll be seeing you all in the morning on my birthday, since we do this once a week on Wednesday. So I'll be seeing you guys. So I'm going to be spending my birthday morning with my favorite people. So, Deborah says her birthday is September 20th. Awesome. Happy birthday early. I see Charlotte on. I see Renee. Hey, Renee. Welcome to the show. Thank you for joining. So, listen, we are thinking about all the things that are going on in the world, and how do we get our head back in the game? How do we figure this out in this last quarter? Don't know that there's 4 quarters kind of in a football game, and there's sort of 4 quarters in the seasons, right? There's winter, there's spring, there's summer, and then there's fall. Fall tends to be the last quarter of the season, if you will. I love fall. I love the change of seasons. If y'all see, I got my long sleeves on because it got a little chilly. I love the coolness of the air, but the briskness, but at the same time, it's not too cold. I also love this region where we live because the colors of the tree, the leaves on the trees start changing, and it just looks so beautiful. So anyway, I'm thinking about transition. And as we transition from summer to fall, what are the things that we've learned over the summer? Our summers were quite different this year, right? We didn't necessarily get to go on the vacations that we normally would go on. I normally would go to the vineyard, didn't get a chance to do that. But there was so many things that we did get a chance to do during the summer months. It was a time of, I think, reflection and rejuvenation and recalibration, if you will. And, now that we're going into the fall season, who are you breathing for? Well, there's so many people, mind you, we are still in the midst of COVID-19. This pandemic, we haven't moved into the second wave, but there's a whole lot of stuff happening in the zeitgeist, in the atmosphere. So who are you breathing for? Who are you breathing with? Who are you praying for if you're a praying person, and praying with? I would say that there is just so much. So right now, I want to say that I'm going to breathe for and with the people that are dealing with the fires in California and Oregon. And I heard there were like 100 different fires. And also for the firefighters and the families. I think that they've had like over 20 people, 13 people that were lost, or 18, something like that, over 20 people that they're still searching for. And so when you think about firefighters, I consider myself like a mental health firefighter, if you will. I go into situations. People are dealing with trauma and hurt and pain and frustration and all kinds of drama in their lives. And I go into that space. I'm not afraid to do it. And I kind of sit with them in this discomfort and kind of help them through it. But for the real firefighters out there, the ones that are actually going and fighting those flames, trying to contain them, trying to protect both the property and the people in those areas where there's many, many fires. I heard that there was one fire, there's a bobcat fire that they're calling it. And then there was another fire that was actually started accidentally by someone who was doing a baby reveal gone wrong. So I'm even praying and breathing for that family, because I'm sure that they didn't consider or think that that was going to cause a fire that could cause lots of damage to property and also possibly cost lives of people. So praying for them as well. I see you, Stephanie. Who are you all? It's hump day. That's right. Who are you breathing for? That's who I'm breathing for. I want you guys to assume the positions that we get in and tell me in the chat, who are you breathing for? If there's anything that's happened in the last week that we should know as a part of the crew so that we can breathe for and with you, please let us know in the chat. We want to breathe we want to put our middle finger to our thumb or our hand, one hand over the next, or to the side of our laps. We want to get our backs kind of erect, right? But also do a little wiggle to kind of loosen yourself up so you can have that blood flow going through you. And our feet straight, like, a really good, comfortable position. And you know what we're going to do? It's about 10:10, so this is perfect time. We're going to breathe in oxygen, right, through our nose. We're going to hold it 8 seconds. We still hold it 8 seconds to honor George Floyd and his family, where the officer had his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 46 seconds, and even after that. So we honor that and what's going on in terms of fighting for social justice. We breathe in through our nose, we breathe out through our mouth. We breathe oxygen in, we breathe carbon dioxide out. But we also breathe in hope and love and peace and serenity and calm. And we're breathing out fear and frustration and worry and angst and even anger and pain. We're breathing that out. All right, let's go. At the sound of my voice, I'm going to count to 3 and we will breathe in. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. One last time, make it count, crew. Let's go. Breathe in. And breathe out. That felt good, right? Felt good. You felt that energy breathing in. Did you feel the expansion of your belly, the expansion of your lung capacity? We all want to need to practice that every day, several times a day. We don't realize, to be honest with you, how shallow our breathing really is because we're so busy focused on so many different things in terms of this weapons of mass distraction and all the things that we have to deal with on a daily basis. And so we talk in a very fast way. We don't breathe the oxygen in. Our breathing is very shallow. Sometimes when we eat, we don't even chew our food. We don't take time. Digestion is a very important part of our health and well-being. So these things that we take for granted, like having breath in our bodies, right? Having the ability to have lung capacity, the ability to speak, right? The ability to see. Think about the senses, the 5 senses that they taught us when we were in grade school. The ability to see, the ability to hear, the ability to taste, the ability to feel, the ability to breathe. All of those senses help us to sort of show up in the spaces and places that we are in order to live our best lives. And oftentimes without some of those abilities, that doesn't mean that we can't live our best lives, but it does mean that, like, if you have those specific abilities, why not use them to the fullest capacity that you can? Why not breathe in as much as you can every single day? Why not use your words wisely? Why not taste the food, that you're eating in the various seasons? Not too much salt, not too much sugar, but, the various good seasonings, right? Why not listen? Like, a lot of times we don't listen to people that we are the closest to. Sometimes we don't even listen to ourselves, to be honest with you. The ability to listen. Ability to see clearly. There's a chapter in my book, Courageous Conversations, and it's called The Ability to See Clearly. It's week 10, page 34. And I'm going to read a quick excerpt from that. And I want you all to tell me what your thoughts about it is. It says, your ability to see clearly. What about that? Sometimes it's difficult for us to just see the forest for the trees. Clarity comes from the inside out. If we are operating with blurred vision, we may need to change our viewpoint in order to see more clearly. I myself are thankful for the ability to see clearly. I think the song goes, I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Well, I know that my life, nor yours, is not designated as a straight path with no obstacles. Our lives have been designed by God to withstand all the twists, turns, ups and downs, trials and tribulations, appointments and disappointments. This is all a part of our lived and shared experience. That said, it is so much better if you don't have to face those obstacles blindly when they come. No one likes to be blindsided. All right. So, what has blindsided you? What has gotten your head out of the game? What has taken you aback, if you will? Has it been COVID-19? Let me tell you what is trending out there. And y'all tell me what you've thought about these things that have been happening in the world that have been swirling around us. Yesterday, Breonna Taylor, her family won a court in court. $12 million is the largest amount of money that has been awarded for a Black woman and possibly a Black person by being killed due to police assault, if you will. There were also some other things in that award, which was that social workers would show up, which I've been praying for, that mental health professionals are able to show up in places and spaces where they call the cops and they're not equipped. It's not just about more training. It's about the people that actually care about the community and the people that are in them. So they're doing that. That's great. They also are offering a stipend for police to live in the community where they work, so that they're not just coming into a community and policing, not knowing the community. Y'all know my father was a homicide detective and he lived in the community where he worked. And so therefore, you know, when he was actually a police officer prior to becoming a homicide detective, and he knew every single guy in the community, even some of the gang members he knew, and they respected him and he respected them. So having people live, officers in the community, I think is huge. And then they did some restructuring of the no-knock warrants as well. So in addition to our getting $12 million, they're doing police reform. They're submitting some proposals, I believe, and this is what needs to be a template for all communities, I believe, so that we have a community where, yes, we do want order, law and order, absolutely, and we don't want people fearful of walking down the streets and not being able to take care of their families or not being able to know whether they're going to be safe or not. And simultaneously, though, we need to know that our family members are not going to just be driving down the street and be pulled over for no reason and then racially profiled and possibly killed dead by people who are supposed to protect and serve us. So tell me what your thoughts are about that. I see Jen's on. Good morning, Jen. Laressa's on. Good morning. Welcome. Stephanie, I see you. I see BJ. Welcome. I missed you guys. I see my Sora, Michelle. Oh, you guys are making me so happy that you guys didn't forget that we were on Wednesday. I've been waiting for this, even though it's a little sad that I don't see you every day like we used to, but it's going to be well worth it when we start putting out the new book and all those other things that we're doing. So thank you for joining. So what are your thoughts about that? That's one thing that's trending. Remember, I just read the excerpt. I can see clearly, right? What does it look like to see clearly? The ability to see clearly, the ability to focus, even amidst all the ups and downs on humanity, and not to be blindsided. There's a couple other things that are going on in the world. The fires that are happening in Oregon and in California, Hurricane Sally, which is the second hurricane to hit land in the Gulf. And this is hurricane season, but these hurricanes are coming fast and furious. And we need to not think that when we hear these things that it doesn't affect human life, because it does. It affects all of us. By the way, yesterday was the 57th anniversary of the 19th Street bombing in Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 little girls were killed. 57 years. Think about that. Like a juxtapose 57 years ago when these 4 little girls, who knew what they would become, right? And they were taken out too soon. And then I saw maybe a month ago 4 little girls on the ground with their hands behind their backs because the police had stopped the mother. You know, for as far as we've come, we seem to have a lot further to go. Deborah says, honey, I'm not trusting me to remember. I have a reminder set. Well, I thank you for setting your reminder. I appreciate it. There's a couple other things that I wanted to share with you that are going on and that are trending. How about Naomi Osaka? If I'm saying Osaka, I think I'm saying that correctly. She is ranked top in the world as a woman in tennis. She just won the U.S. Open. And I give her so much credit because, you know, the NBA and the NFL, they had other people kind of working together collaboratively to stand for justice, even though Colin Kaepernick 4 years ago took a knee and a lot of people didn't support him. But now, you know, with Naomi, it seems like she was sort of all by herself, to be honest with you. And she every day went out there. She had 7 masks to honor the people that had been gunned down by the police. And she wore those masks to honor Tamir Rice and George Floyd and Sandra Bland and many others. And I didn't get a chance to actually watch the match. But afterwards, I went on YouTube and I saw the interview. And one of the interviews asked her, tell me about what you were feeling when you were wearing these masks to honor these people who had been slain. And she's a very mild-mannered person. And she said in a very authoritative, very accurate and clear and concise voice, she said, that wasn't the point. She said, the point was for you to think about what you thought and felt when you actually saw me wear these masks honoring these people who were killed. So what did you think? And she kind of, you know, I thought it was a great clapback, quite frankly, for her to say, this was the point, not the point for me to make a statement for me to just talk. It was for people to think about how many people have been treated so unjustly over the years and how many, and she has lived it literally because her father, I believe, is Haitian and her mother is Chinese. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong. And she was ostracized, the mother, from her family for partnering with a person of color, a male of color. And so she and her sister were taught early on tennis by their father. I'm going to take. So that's kind of what I believe. I haven't followed her journey fully, but I do know that she has been experienced. She has been a part of a biracial family in which, and by ethnic family, by cultural family, we sometimes conflate race and ethnicity and nationality and culture, and it's not all the same thing. And she also has bared the brunt of a family that was ostracized because they chose to love each other even though they were different. Morgan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I just wanted to say background's Japanese. That's all. She's Japanese.
Japanese. Thank you. Japanese. I'm sorry. Thank you so much.
Japanese, but
thank you so much. What's your thoughts about that? What all the various things going on in the world that are trending? How can we cut ourselves? Y'all remember this word, some slack. How can we cut others some slack? Some fun facts. Cicely Tyson, if y'all don't know who she is, you can Google it. She had just turned 94 years old and looks fabulous. And then there's a woman by the name of Ernestine Shepherd, who is the oldest woman to compete in a bodybuilding competition. And she's 84 years young and looks fabulous. And so I've just kind of looked at these things and thought to myself, well, there's some things that are challenging going on in the world. And by the way, Cicely Tyson, but if you don't know her, she was an actress in one of the earlier films that I watched when I was a child called Miss Jane Pittman. And it was one of my favorites because if you actually go back and look at it, it talks about all the racial unrest in this white
reporter began to interview her about her life. And in the very end of the movie, she actually walks up. She talks about this big oak tree. Actually, now I'm talking about it, I think Morgan and I should watch that again. Go find it on Netflix and watch it because it's a phenomenal movie. And she walks up to, she talks about what the oak tree has seen. And then she walks up to a fountain and she drinks from the fountain. And the irony of that is that the fountain is a fountain that is only meant for white people to drink from. And by that time, she's a young woman, but she's playing an old woman. And it speaks to the ways in which we have treated each other as human beings so unfairly, the ways in which Black and Brown people have been oppressed and subjugated and othered and demoted, and certainly have dealt with the pain of racial and systemic racism, racial unrest. And so I think that you all should watch it. Another one of my favorites is um, Invisible. The name escapes me. It'll come back to me, but it's a really good one as well. And so, and then by the way, all these books are coming out. All these books like Bob Woodard, Rage, and various things like that. So there's just a lot going on. Getting our head in the game. BJ said, I miss you too. Good morning. Oh, Helen is on. Hey, Helen. Good morning. Thank you so much. Jen says, love and blessings. With all of that swirling around us, are you blindsided? Do you have clarity? What clarity do you need now moving into this fourth quarter of the season? Seasons change for a reason, right? Oftentimes, seasons changing means we've got to get prepared for what that particular season will bring, whether it's winter season and we've got to put on our clothes. If you're in a particular region like ours, you put on your hat and your scarf and your gloves, you prepare for the outside elements. But what about the inside elements? And then spring comes and you're looking for the flowers and the showers, quite frankly, and the weather to shift. And then the summer comes, right? Who knew that during the spring season and the summer, we would be dealing with COVID-19 and racial unrest and systemic racism. And now we're in the fall. What are the seasons in your life? What are the transitions in your life? Are you prepared for these transitions? Are you welcoming the transitions? You'll know that the majority of the people that are not prepared, because it's not whether the seasons will change and it's not whether opportunities will come. It's inevitable. It's will you be prepared? Because I really don't believe in coincidences. I believe in preparation meets opportunity. Are you prepared for the fall? And are we ready for what 2021 even will bring? Because we didn't cancel 2020. We learned from it. Deborah says the election season. Absolutely. Thank you for reminding me about the election. I'm truly loving this cool weather. Jen says, let's talk about November 3rd. Especially with all of the toxins. And y'all know, by the way, that when storms come, and you all know I always say that storms, we are in the middle of a storm, we are the exiting storm, or we're going into a storm. And when storms come, it really means that there's a lot of toxins in the atmosphere, and it's trying to clear out the toxins. Such is the case for this election coming up in November 3rd, 2020. I want y'all to remember that Election Day is not just 2020, November 3rd, because there's a lot of opportunity for the elections to people to vote early. So actually, I think September 14th was the beginning of the early voting process where the ballots are supposed to be starting to go out, and you could actually go to satellite election centers as well as drop boxes and put your ballot in order for you to vote. And we have to vote like our life depends on it, no matter what. That is a part of getting our head in the game. That is a part of moving forward and making sure our voices matter. Michelle says, the clarity that I need to move forward into the fourth quarter of 2020 is making myself accountable for myself, my family, and community, making at least one difference in the lives of others. I love that. I love that, Michelle, because here is the truth. To the world, you may be one person, right? But to one person, you may be the world. And if you level up on learning to love and like yourself, cutting yourself some slack, then you have no idea who you could be. Y'all remember Chadwick Boseman? He passed away like a couple of weeks ago, and he talked about Denzel Washington being the change agent for him and giving him money to go to acting school. And who knew that he would play the roles of James Brown and Jackie Robinson and Black Panther, and he went on to be one of the greats, and really was gone too soon. But I do believe that he will have a legacy. Angelique says, I think it's important to remember that every little thing we do counts in the terms of this fight to injustice. We don't have to speak at the Washington Monument in front of thousands to make a difference. A kind gesture toward a stranger can make a difference in someone's whole life. We just never know what a person is going through and what an impact a simple, kind gesture makes. Amen to that. Again, to the world, you may be one person, but to one person, you may be the world. So here's the deal, guys. Like, in terms of this clearing that we're creating, in terms of getting our head in the game, in terms of moving beyond our blind spots and not just thinking about today, but being present for today so that we can level up to tomorrow. We have to think about not just counting every day, but making every single day count. How will you do that? I want you to share your stories when we come back. I want you to share how you're leveling up and getting your head in the game. Where are your blind spots? What did you learn? Where were you fearful in the beginning of all this? And how have you got to the place of learning and growing through growing pains to the other side? We're going to take a quick break from our sponsors. Remember to share this tag a friend, share this video, let other people know we are on this platform for you in our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Dr. R.G. Allen Wilson. You may recognize me as a leading relationship expert for TV programs such as CNN, The Today Show, Good Day Philly, Fox 29, Terman Hall Show, Mel Robbins Show, and local and national radio shows, just to name a few. I want to invite you to a very awesome opportunity that will enhance your life. Having courageous conversations that connect is key for a healthy relationship with ourselves and others. Knowing the right strategies and techniques aren't as simple as we think. There are principles to understanding how we all think and feel. Right now, you can join in my free quarantine talks to learn what others spend thousands of dollars in therapy to know. Each day, while we are in quarantine at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, you can watch, listen, and learn tips that will help you get through this challenging time in our lives. Here's the good news. There is absolutely no cost for you to participate. Tune in on YouTube, Facebook, and the Gram at Ask Dr. RG. I look forward to seeing you join our crew. And that's connecting relationships for epic wins. Have a beautiful day on purpose. From my heart to yours.
Hey there, it is Dr. RG here, yours truly. Welcome to Courageous Conversations Connect Space. If you're just joining us, this is our quarantine talks. This is our community give back. Thank you so much for joining. This is September 16, 2020, and we are talking about how to get your head in the game. This is the fourth quarter. Let's make it count, crew. Jen says, to be a poll worker, you've got to be in close proximity, basically, and she's thinking about wearing 2 masks, and that's great. I think that we should. By the way, I thank you, Jen, for reminding us that people in the communities need poll workers. And in some of my social media platforms, I've been posting the way that you can become a poll worker. Next week, actually, we're going to have a special guest on, and she's going to be talking about this voter project, as well as how to become a poll worker and all the things that they're doing to engage young people. We need young people because, quite frankly, the people that have been poll workers for years are going to be compromised in the midst of a pandemic if they show up. They're actually, I think, in our region paying $250 to be a poll worker for the day, which is great. And also, as Jen said, just wear double mask. if you're in close proximity so that you can be safe. It's important to wear your mask. And it's important for us to have poll workers, because if we don't have the poll workers, then we can't have the various polls. And we need to be able to have all the spaces and places that people can actually go vote. Michelle says we must remember to smile and be kind. That is contagious. Absolutely. So many people need to catch it. Right. I always say love is contagious, right? Being kind is contagious. Caring is contagious. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. I want to say that one more time so y'all can let that resonate with you. Let that digest, let that absorb. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. So we need to care about ourselves. We need to care about people. That doesn't mean necessarily that we enable people to, be dependent upon us. But guess what? Just like Michelle said, a smile is a universal language. Even if there is a language barrier, people understand a smile. And I know we can't smile 24 hours a day, and sometimes we're not in a mood to smile because we're feeling, as we say here in Philly, some kind of way. But that notwithstanding, there is a way that we need to really let folks know that we care and what that looks like. Great, definitely tune in. Jen says, I've been doing some phone banking calls in Philadelphia to make sure everyone is ready to vote. Absolutely. Everybody needs to sign in, right? All hands on deck. So here's what I want people to share. Where are your blind spots, guys? If we're talking about getting your heads in the game, if we're talking about, creating a clearing so that we can see more clearly, so that we can hear more clearly, right? So that we can speak more clearly. You know that all messages that are actually sent or disseminated are not heard in the same way, because sometimes we actually are not speaking clearly. How many times you've talked to somebody and they said, oh, that's not what I meant. Or sometimes the audio doesn't match the video, so that you say one thing, right? You say, I'm an honest person, but you lie every day, right? You say that I care about my family, but you never show up for anything. There's these ways in which our actions don't line up with our words. And so Dr. Maya Angelou said it this way: when people show you who they are, believe them, right? She said that, and she was one of my sheroes. And she also said that people might not remember what you said or what you did, but they will always remember how you made them feel. Think about that. How do you make someone feel? Do people feel better because they came in contact with you on any given day? Like any given Sunday with football, how they say, anything could change, right? Do people feel like you've shed light? Are you illuminating light and casting light in the midst of darkness? Are you doing that? Or are you getting sucked into the dark spaces and places of the world? And then that becomes infectious, because I do believe love trumps hate. I do believe that. And I believe being kind is infectious. But I also believe being mean is infectious as well. And I think that if we're going to get our heads in the game, sometimes we have to decrease or distance ourselves from the negativity, from the brutality. When I say negativity and brutality, I'm not always meaning that somebody's going outside and killing somebody. That's happening too. But when I say negativity and brutality, I mean that sometimes we're just negative and brutal, even in social media with our words. Listen, guys, love, light, truth, and accountability leads to hope and freedom. But that requires something of us. To whom much is given, much is required. So it requires something of us. Well, what does it require? It requires that first we love ourselves in order to love somebody else, right? That we level up on the ways in which we are loving and falling in love on a regular basis, because you can fall in love multiple times with you. What is it that you love about yourself? What is it that you like about yourself, so that you can then identify the things that you like about humanity, the things that you like about others? And then it requires that we hold ourselves to our truth. And everybody's truth is different. I get it, right? And sometimes it means staying in the conversation. It means fighting for the relationship enough to stay in the conversation, to speak your truth, to connect with your truth, to connect with somebody else's truth. because we may be on opposite sides of the spectrum, but maybe there's some common ground, because the truth is that we are more similar than we are different, right? Because we're human beings, and that we need to embrace those similarities while acknowledging the differences. Both matter, both count. We matter, right? I had somebody say, in Truth and Accountability, when someone said that Black Lives Matter, this is a client of mine, and she gave me permission to share this story because she was talking about on her social media Black Lives Matter, and she had a white friend who said, I don't really understand that. Why don't people just say all lives matter? And she said, well, if Black Lives Matter, then we wouldn't have the need to have the hashtag, right? But time and time again for 401 years, it's been demonstrated that Black lives don't matter. So then she gave them an example, and I love this example. She said the example was 9/11 just passed. We just celebrated, I think, or not celebrated, but honored the 19th anniversary of 9/11, right? I remember exactly where I was. Do you all remember where you were? My Uncle Fred had just passed, and we were on our way to his funeral, and we were at my Aunt Dot's house, and we saw the planes go into the buildings. So her analogy was, what if on 9/11, every year when we honor those 3,500 people that died and the families that were impacted and the firefighters that ran into that building not knowing if they were going to come out, what if when someone says, let's honor those fallen soldiers, those fallen people, someone else said, well, all buildings matter, or why are we honoring that today? All dates matter. It would be a personal affront to the people that feel like that is a day to honor because people gave up their lives for it. And that's what we're saying with Black Lives Matter. It's not that all lives don't matter. It is just saying, how about we level up on honoring and the people that have been disenfranchised and oppressed? And how about we move to a place where we begin to have these conversations that give us actionable steps to take action on dismantling the structures that have been developed and built up in order to demote and certain groups of people while promoting others and privileging others. That's all we're saying, right? And so when we think about getting our head in the game, where are we blind? Where's your blind side? Where are you biased? Where are the unconscious biases that you have not considered because you didn't have to? And how will you begin to have that conversation with yourself? First, truth, then accountability. Accountability means when you see injustice, you say something. When you see something, you say something. You show up, you speak up, you stand up for what's right in terms of social injustices in our world. That then creates a better atmosphere for us to do something different, for us to create something different, for us to be different. So, getting your head in the game, what does it require? It requires lots from us, right? So, I'm thinking about a paradigm shift, and I want to share this with you, with the crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. Remember, this is about us creating a safe space, right? Safety. This conversation is not to make everyone comfortable, right? Discomfort is a part of the discourse. It's a part of the growth. You ever heard when the baby is growing up, it's like growing pains when they're teething, right? How could you have teeth come through the gums if you didn't have some pain? It's growing pains. So this part of the conversation is for us to grow as a part of our crew, connecting relationships for epic wins. So it doesn't mean that we have to be comfortable, but it does mean that we have to be kind. It does mean that we have to be caring for one another. It does mean that we need to be respectful for each other as we grow together. So, paradigm shift for our new normal. What does that look like? Focusing on accepting the new norm. Reset your mindset, because everything starts here. It starts with our mindset. It starts with our ideas. And if our ideas are not challenged, then we move to a place of resisting and not accepting, right? I've got a few more others, but what are your thoughts about that, Morg, since you popped on?
Yeah. So I want to give this analogy. This analogy, I think, very much kind of explain what's happening in the world right now. When you have such a bombastic, just wild live wire, a person that's so abrasive, and bombastic again is the word, it kind of dulls the senses after a certain amount of time. If there isn't a direct, hard correction, after a while, when you say new norm, that's sort of what it is. It's almost like it elevates the ground zero, if you will. The ground zero is now elevated. So what I mean by that is this analogy. It's like they say, how do you cook a frog? Well, you put it in a pot of water, and you
I
just
would say people cook frogs.
no, yeah, they do. Frog is a good piece of
That's
meat,
a
actually.
delicacy in some parts of
Have
the
you
world,
ever had
right?
frog? It tastes just like chicken.
I don't think so, but anyway.
Now, I will tell you, that is correct. But anyway, let me just, the analogy is this, is that the frog does not even recognize that the heat is gradually increasing itself. It's so subtle in the cooking process that before it know it's dead and it's boiled, but it doesn't jump out the pot like, oh, you don't have to even cover the lid, if you just slowly, incrementally. So this is what's happening in the world right now. We all know who's responsible for it, okay? And they are so ridiculous in their analogy. You're so ridiculous in what they say, okay? It's almost like it's a slow burn over time. And then what happens is the ground zero is leveled or elevated to such a point, then it kind of plateaus. This is what Cuomo said last night, kind of plateaus. And then you begin to accept the plateau. But the plateau is still, comparative to what it was, it's still a high level. But then because it plateaus for a significant amount of time, you begin to get comfortable with this new ground zero, okay? But the new ground zero is absolutely detrimental and toxic to the overall collective, okay? And this is what I think is happening to the world right now. Our senses are dulled, and we are now, I think, are in jeopardy. I'm not saying we're quite there yet. We're in jeopardy if we really don't understand what's going to happen in November 3rd, if we really don't get out to vote. And I mean, it's cliche as now, but vote like your life depends on it, because it literally does. The game will be changed, and we will become edging towards a monarch, okay, and a dictatorship. It's a slippery slope, folks. It's a slippery slope, and this is what happens to countries that were once democratic, a democracy that then became to more of an authoritative monarchy, if you will, and this this rule that takes place. So if you really understand the democracy of our country, you understand what the foundation upon which our country was founded on. If that's important to you and you understand that, please understand this is a new time, and our democracy and constitution is being challenged like it's never been challenged before. And this election really is a game changer. It's truly a game changer. Just not be that frog that's slowly cooked.
Love it.
That's
Thanks,
it.
babe. Thanks, babe. I
All
appreciate
right.
that. That's a great analogy. And, I do think Morgan is absolutely 1,000% correct when he says, although it sounds cliche, but I think sometimes cliche, messages work. We, the people, to create and to maintain or to actually resign a more perfect union where we all have a seat at the table, where we all have equity, where we all matter. We do need to vote like our life depends on it, because it literally does. And it is we lost one of the icons, John Lewis, who said that it is our democracy, and voting is a way to protest, to maintain our democracy. He is a person who I highly respect. And on his deathbed, literally, he wrote a letter to the young people. We're going to talk about the young people next week, to the young people, that said, you got to get your head in the game. You can't just check out. You can't just distance. You can't just close your eyes like this and put your head in the sand and act like this is not happening, because that's going to get us 4 more years of the same or worse. And we don't want that. We are deserving, all of us are deserving of mattering. As Angelique says, she says, the term Black Lives Matter, she says, I remember when a comedian joked about the fact that people have an issue with the term Black Lives Matter. All we're asking is to matter. Matter, she says, Matter. It was hilarious and terribly sad at the same time. Like, think about that. Like, literally, we're talking about seeing clearly. Remember, I read that excerpt that said the ability to see clearly, hear clearly, speak clearly. Just asking to matter is not a personal affront to another demographic. It just is not. It is just saying, can we matter? Can we have equity? Can we be equal, at least so that we have the same opportunities and advantages and that are not disadvantaged? We should not be already poised, if we have a pandemic like we do now with COVID-19, to be the race that is going to die more easily simply because we're Black. A lot of people are saying is because people are having higher, more compromised immune systems. But you got to think, you got to dig deeper. You got to look at the context. What is the pathway? Why are people more compromised in terms of their immune systems? One could say, oh, well, you're not eating healthy. But if you live in a food desert, how are you going to get fresh food? If you can't get out of the community that you're in, where there's lots of food insecurities, or if you just have no job, or if you're an essential worker and you're in a situation where the only way that you can make money is to put yourself in harm's way, right? Then you are in a more vulnerable state. Larissa says, it requires me to be honest, examine myself daily, and work on the negative areas. Absolutely. That reminds all of us that we all have work to do. We just all have work to do. If we're going to get our heads back in the game, if we're going to win this thing, which I believe that we can, if we're going to band together as a crew, connecting relationships for epic wins, we have to honor, as we call, the 5 A's: acceptance, adjustments, adapt, appreciate, and then acknowledge a new attitude, right? I started to saying focus on acceptance because we have to reset our mindset. Then make adjustments to readjust our expectations. Too often we're focused on the old expectations and we're saying, oh, that's still going to happen. But maybe that barn has left the building, if you will. And we have to readjust those expectations of ourselves and of others so that we can move forward and then adapt whatever that new norm is. I don't know what it is for you. I know what it is for me in terms of, and quite frankly, I'll be honest, that we kind of get in trouble when we talk about normal, because normal is constantly evolving. And so you've got to be malleable and you got to be, adaptable in order to survive any particular norm as it moves forward. And then appreciating how far we come. Think about the growing pains that we all experience together, crew. Starting in March, when we began this journey together, 77 episodes later, 24 weeks later, 6.5 months later, we've all grown. There's been lessons that we've learned. There's been blinders that have been taken off. There's been ways that we've started hearing differently. There's been ways that we started communicating differently. Those things, those growing pains that we went through, no pain, no gain. And in order to maintain and sustain, right, then you have to really move to a place where you actually gain, right? You begin to gain some things about and learn some things about yourself. And then this new attitude, this is essential. Do you know that they say that there are people that actually survive and move to a place of thriving, which that's where we want to be, not just surviving, but thriving, simply because they were able to harness a more positive attitude. And they were able to focus on not just what they didn't have, but what they did have. They were able to focus on not what they, didn't do, but what they could do. The positive attitude and mindset is one of the hallmarks or cornerstones to growth. And it's really up to us individually and collectively to determine for ourselves what energy, where are we going to invest that energy? And how are we going to invest it? That is getting the head in the game. Larissa says she completely agrees with Morgan. It requires her to be honest and on a daily basis. And if we're honest with ourselves, sometimes we are not honest, right? That's a process of being honest with yourself and saying to yourself, self, maybe I've been lying to myself. Maybe I have been all up in that stinking thinking, and perhaps I've not been kind to myself in the ways in which I've thought about myself in the process of this time, this space and time that we are living in. And that's okay. That is okay. Actually, that's phenomenal because Dr. Maya Angelou says, I did the best that I knew how to do. And when I knew better, I did better. Well, what does that look like for all of us? Are you embarking on a journey of healing because you're learning, you're knowing better, you're getting to a place where you're starting to know a little bit more about yourself? If that's the case, then you can do better. But that's up to us. Getting our heads in the game, voting on November 3rd or before. I encourage you to vote before. I encourage you to do, your early mail-in ballots. I think you have until October. One day, and I forget, I put the flyer out, but it's an early date in October and to register. I hope that you are encouraging other people to register to vote. There's an organization called Cycle to Vote that we partnered with Lauren Kahn and her co-founder, Greg Burton, called Cycle to Vote. They've gone the week of October, the second week in October, they're going to have a cycling event that's going to be culminating with speakers at the very end of the event, and everybody's going to go out and ride their bikes at various parts of the community to vote. So whatever, here's what I say, by any means necessary, whatever your agent of opportunity is, whatever portion that you will take as a change agent, as my good friend Senator Vincent Hughes says, take your hill. Take your hill. Whatever that hill is. If it's talking to people, if it's helping older people, that's my passion. To have every young person to make a decision to partner with 2 or 3 older people and to help them to sign up, to register for early voting or mail-in voting, take them to the satellite election centers or the drop boxes so that they can drop or deposit their actual ballot. We have to bridge the gap between the young and the old, the millennials and the Gen X's or the Gen Z's and the Gen X's and the baby boomers and the seniors. We're all in this together. We're all in a storm together, maybe different boats, but we're all in a storm. So the question is, where do we want to get to? Where is our destiny? And can we all do it together? BJ says it's harder to be honest with yourself than it is to lie to yourself. Truth, trust, and transparency, BJ, leads to transformational breakthroughs. Absolutely. It is harder to be honest with yourself than to lie to yourself. But we got to get out of our own way and we got to get our heads back in the game. So listen, we're going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Think about how we will wrap this up in terms of what is your truth and how will you be honest to yourself. We'll be right back. Stay with us. So this is yours truly, Dr. RG. This has been great. I missed you guys so much. So listen, for those of you who are new to our platform, we were going in the very beginning every day, and then we shifted to 4 days a week and 3 days a week, and now we're here at Wednesday. So this is more important than ever before that you share this video, that you tag a friend, that you let people know that we're on the Courageous Conversations Connect platform. Quarantine Talks every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Next Wednesday, it's going to be my birthday. So I'm going to be sharing my birthday with all of my crew. I can't think of a more wonderful place to be to like kick off my birthday day, right? I'm not going to work too much, but I am going to hang out with you guys on my birthday. And I also want you all to know that you can go on over to the YouTube page, subscribe to our YouTube page, Ask Dr. Argie, AskDrArgie. Morgan is working really hard on having some amazing content for you. We started to do this once a week so that we could work on the podcast, so that we could work on the new book that's coming out by the end of this year, the end of this quarter, so that we could work on the masterclass. So there's a whole lot of things that we're working on for you so that our crew can enjoy as well as we work hard to better ourselves, to become the better versions of ourselves. So, and if you know somebody that's interested in therapy, please reach out to us at 215-789-6999 or contact us at connectionsmatterllc.com. We are here for you. I'm doing individual, couple, and family therapy. I'm also working with corporations. As a matter of fact, I'm all kind of glammed up for you, as well as I have a big event that I'm doing a little bit later today as it relates to working with corporations around how to have these courageous conversations about the collision between COVID-19 as well as systemic racism. And so this is important. We all matter. We are all in this together. And I look forward to seeing you guys next Wednesday. Also look out for some pop-ups, because since I'm not seeing y'all and I miss y'all, I might just be in the office thinking about something and then pop up and share something with you. So look for those as well. I love you guys. There is nothing you can do about it. So if no one else told you that they love you today, know that I love you. Love you. Morgan loves you. And I wish that you will have a beautiful day and the rest of the week on purpose from my heart to yours. Bye-bye.